mostly development. Okay, so can everybody see my screen? Just hopefully I'll just check the chat. Oh, Zoom is being weird. 1 second. Okay, perfect. All right. So this presentation is essentially on going from zero to hero with React Native, and my name is Yuvraj. A little bit about me: I'm a grade 12 student at Cameron Heights in Waterloo, Ontario, and I really love coding. But specifically, I've gotten into web development. But I've also always been interested in mobile development, usually since I've struggled with the responsive side of front end development and web development. And so from there, I kind of wanted to keep the same, I kind of wanted to stay with the same language that I was really comfortable with, which was JavaScript. And I'd learned React, I'd picked up on Angular, which are all front end frameworks. And so essentially the epitome of that, the language, was JavaScript. And so I wanted to essentially learn how to do mobile development with JavaScript. And there's a number of ways you can do that, actually only a few. But the best way to do that and the most documented way to do that was React Native. And over the years, I've learned to love React Native, all of its flaws and all of its benefits. But yeah, so hopefully you guys have a bit of familiarity with JavaScript. If not, that's totally fine, because there is a lot more to learn than just the sheer programming side of this. But nevertheless, zero to hero with React Native and the basics of mobile programming. So this will be our table of contents. What is React Native? I'm sure that not everybody knows about React Native. There has been a lot of, buzz about React Native, but some people just don't know about it since they're not into that side of programming. Why React Native? So what's its benefits over something like Kotlin, Java, or Swift? And then getting started with Expo. Expo is essentially a way to test your apps directly on your smartphone without having to use any Android Studio or Swift. So I personally have a PC, but I have the iPhone, so it's kind of hard to test iOS apps on my phone without having an actual Mac. I would either need to virtualize it or dual boot it, which isn't really possible with Mac OS. But with Expo, I'm able to test Android apps on my phone without having the need of an Android. Then from there, we'll go from basics of user interface design with Gravit. I don't know why that didn't show up, but Gravit is essentially an Illustrator clone, but it runs on the web, so it's accessible to most people, and so that's why I personally chose it. And then from there, we'll go to user interfacing in React Native. So the user interfacing that we wrote with Gravit and the user interface that we designed in Gravit, how do we reflect that in React Native? And lastly, we'll have a few questions if anybody's a bit confused or maybe wants to ask about React Native. Okay, so what is React Native? Excuse me. React Native is essentially a cross-platform mobile JavaScript framework built off of the widely known language or widely known library that is React. Now, React is very popular. It's one of the most used tools in all of web development. I'm pretty sure it is the most used as per the Stack Overflow survey. And essentially how it helps you is it allows you to break your website down into components and a lot of networking stuff. So, React Router, and there's a lot of benefits of using React as opposed to just using plain HTML, CSS, or maybe another framework like Angular or Vue. React Native is one of the most used frameworks as it's developed by Facebook. It's very well documented, and it just helps keep your code clean and well documented. And so React Native was kind of like Facebook had a lot of web developers, and they're like, okay, how do we empower these web developers to work on mobile applications? And the best way to do that was teach them how to develop, or at least empower them to develop Android apps or iOS apps in JavaScript. JavaScript is a really widely known language since it's so easy to pick up. JavaScript has a very intuitive syntax. And so with so many developers learning JavaScript, they're like, okay, let's try to make a framework or a library that allows our developers to develop straight into in JavaScript. And so React was the brainchild of that. React has all of the same benefits. React Native has all of the same benefits as React, except instead of creating components. So how React works is you have HTML component, you have components that are essentially, it's essentially like a variable. So each component is a variable and it consists of HTML and CSS. However, in React Native, since it is mobile development, you can't really create your own components in HTML and CSS. You can't use really HTML CSS to create your own components. Instead, there are pre-made components that translate to web, translate to iOS, and translate to Android. For instance, if I want a button will look different on iOS, a button will look different on Android, and a button will look different on the web. And so by using the pre-made syntax from React Native, I'm able to develop apps and develop components for all of the different platforms, Android, iOS, and the web. And yeah, so it's centered around pre-made components, but these aren't built off of HTML but still make the use of an intuitive syntax known as JSX. JSX is something that React developers made. It allows you to write like HTML, but it's a lot more simple to read and it's a lot more intuitive. So now with that said, React Native doesn't seem a lot better than, it seems a lot better than something like Kotlin, Java, or Swift, right? Because, okay, I see that there's something in the chat. Can Python be used in so Python can be used in web development. Now, the only issue is it's not used for front-end development because it is a statically typed language. So it's not used for front-end development because we already have languages like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript handling that, but it can be used for back-end development. So yeah. Alrighty. So, okay, so we have, let's just check the chat again. No worries. Alrighty, so React seems a lot better than something like Kotlin, Java, or Swift, right? With Swift, you have to write for with Swift, you have to write for iOS, and then you have to write for Java. But React Native, you can write once and run everywhere. You only have one code base. So, what gives? Why isn't everybody using React Native? Why have I not heard of it as compared to Java? Now, the thing is, React Native compiles to native code. That's why it's called native. So if I write in React, it'll compile to either Kotlin or Swift, depending on the platform I'm in. Now, an issue with that is because it's compiling to another language, there's another layer that keeps it from attaining pure performance. JavaScript already isn't the best performing language. We know that Kotlin, Swift, and Java are all faster, but then you also have to add an additional transitional layer. And so that makes it a lot slower than something like Kotlin, Java, or Swift. So if I'm developing games, won't be able to use it on that. If I'm hoping for a really high performance application, there's no way that I can use React Native. But if I'm building something like Instagram, if I'm building something like Facebook, an e-commerce platform for mobile devices, React Native is perfect since I don't have to have two code bases for the same app. Instead, I just run, compile, and boom, I've written in JavaScript and now I have my app on both iOS and Android. Now, the thing is, React Native requires extensive use of JavaScript. You have to know a lot of React. Now, there's something we call progressive web applications. And that is one of the, not an emerging technology, but a technology that has been here for a while. So there's Ionic and Electron, which are essentially sisters in technology. Ionic is built off of Electron. Now, these are called progressive web apps. Essentially, I can write all my code in HTML, all my code in CSS, and essentially I npm install Electron and export it as an Electron project. And there you go. I instantly have a website that can be run on, I have a website that can be downloaded from the App Store. Now, this has a multitude of benefits, but also a multitude of drawbacks. Now, essentially, because it's only a website being downloaded from the App Store, that effectively means that the performance is a lot worse, but also there are a lot of optimizations that I just can't make. For instance, if let's say like I have the Home Depot app on my phone, right? The Home Depot app will literally be the Home Depot website, except there's none of that like search bar stuff that you usually have at the top. So if I want to search google.ca, I just won't have that in the app. Everything else is literally the exact same. The Home Depot app, if anybody's ever used it, is built off of Ionic and Electron. But those are progressive web apps. Another drawback is that they're very slow. So because it's essentially a glorified website that I can download from the App Store, it's not as fast as React, which compiles to native code, and it's not even close to the same speed as Kotlin, Java, or Swift. And so if you do have a bit of prowess with web technologies like HTML, CSS, but you're not the most confident with JavaScript and your React skills, a progressive web app would certainly work. You just have to make sure that it performs well, and when it does transition to working on a device, there aren't any bugs and stuff. And Electron has slowly been developed to iron out those bugs, but again, nothing's perfect, and it's not nearly as refined as React Native or Flutter or Kotlin, Java, and Swift, since it's developed open source compared to something like React Native, which is developed by Facebook itself. So now, with that said, React Native. Why React Native? So it's faster than progressive web apps, and it compiles to native code. I mean, it's not as fast as native code, but it's much faster than a progressive web app, and it allows you to run on both iOS and Android, and even the web. So if I run my project on the web, if I write in React Native, I will also be able to run my project in the web. Now that's not recommended since it doesn't look very nice. It'll look very weird as compared to a website that's dynamically developed, but it certainly does work. Additionally, there's also only one code base. So if I just write once, right, I can have the same backend, and the same front end is connected to that backend. So I don't have to be like, okay, I need to connect it to this, I have to have my front end in iOS, I have to have my front end in Android, and then connect both of those to my Flask web server, my Django web server. Instead, I can have one code base and just connect that to my backend at once. So that's a really big benefit. And that's why big companies like Shopify, which is a multi-billion-dollar company located in the same city as me, has started transitioning to React Native. But also it's written in JavaScript. A lot of us developers have first learned web development as our first kind of gig, right? And so being able to use JavaScript and leverage that for mobile technologies is really valuable. Sometimes we don't want to learn Swift, we don't want to learn Java. So what do? We just learn JavaScript and write Android apps and write iOS apps. Now, there's also really broad community support, given that this is the most widely used library, and it's so well supported on Stack Overflow and by Facebook, who gives amazing documentation. There's just nothing like it in the community of web development. Additionally, responsive. I, as a web developer, hate front end just because it's a pain to make it responsive, right? If I write something on my desktop, it sure might look nice on my desktop, but it'll look horrible on my phone. Instead, JavaScript. One second, let me just check the chat again. No, so with React Native, you don't need HTML. Components will look a lot like HTML, but they aren't HTML at all. So it'll have the same syntax or the same, how in XML or HTML you have greater than signs as closing and opening tags. It'll very much look like that, but it won't actually be HTML. Instead, it's something called JSX, which is very intuitive and allows you to essentially use buttons and stuff from the library. Okay, so let's say I have a button in iOS. I'm able to use that iOS button by just calling a button in JavaScript. And so if it's compiled to Swift, Swift will recognize, oh, it's calling for an iOS button. But if it compiles to Kotlin, Kotlin will recognize that, oh, it's asking for an Android button. And so if I actually export my designs to iOS, or if I export my designs to Android, they will look significantly different. They'll still have the same layout and everything, same colors that you've chosen. The buttons and everything, however, will look a bit different just because Android and iOS have different designs. That's kind of the reason why if you use Instagram on iOS and if you use Instagram on Android, they look kind of different. It's just that's one drawback of React Native. But yeah, okay, perfect. But yeah, so it compiles to one code base. Facebook supports it really well. And it's as a front-end developer, I hate responsive web design. Bootstrap helps with that, but nothing's perfect. And so, React Native makes developing responsive code really easy. So you're just developing for a slab of rectangle, right? You're not hoping for wide screens, phones, tall screens. You're just developing for one type of screen. And also, it can be one really big benefit of this is it can be dropped into Swift or Kotlin code. Now, if you have a startup already developed in Swift and Kotlin code, it's fine. It works really well with that. You can tie it in. And so let's say I have some Swift or some Kotlin, I can just drop in my React Native code and have it work very well since it's compiling to that language. And yeah, you probably already know JavaScript, and so that's really a really big reason why you should go with React Native. Can libraries that are used in web development and React be used in React Native? So I'm assuming that you're asking about APIs or maybe something like Angular, right? So the one thing is that React Native essentially compiles to Kotlin and Swift code, right? Like I've said before. And so one issue with that is that because it compiles to those codes, not necessarily all libraries will work. So a lot of things. So I've used what do you call it? Radar.io in the past. And Radar.io works really well in the web. It works really well on Swift and works really well on Kotlin. But it's never really worked well with React Native until they issued a new package. React Native is essentially its own language on its own. It's very simple, similar to JavaScript, and it is JavaScript, but it acts like its own language since you need to have new libraries and you have to have new libraries and you have to have new packages developed for it. Now, they'll work the exact same, but because it's not running on the web and it's running in an entirely different environment, you won't necessarily be able to use the same libraries. However, because you are interested in using the same libraries that are used on the web, the best thing for you to use is a progressive web app or something like Ionic or Swift. Ionic or Electron. Bootstrap. So yeah, Bootstrap cannot be used in React Native. However, there are libraries that are built off of Bootstrap that are compatible with React Native. Same thing for React. A lot of the libraries that you use, like Bootstrap, won't work in React, but there are libraries built off of Bootstrap that work with React and React Native. So if I just go back 1 second, I've gotten ahead of myself. But if you want to use a lot more, if you want to use a lot of libraries and you can't forego them like you do with React Native, you're going to have to use a progressive web app, which is Ionic or Electron. And so I can use Bootstrap, drop in Electron, and boom, I have an Android app, an iOS app that can use Bootstrap and that can use Axios. So if you do want to use those libraries, I think the best way for you to go is Ionic or Electron. But yeah, so hopefully that answered your question. What is the best way to learn React Native if we don't know JavaScript? I wouldn't recommend that. So the thing is, React Native is heavily based off of JavaScript. So the JSX is very simple to learn. It's essentially HTML. I like to say that. It's essentially HTML. You define a button's there. But because everything beyond that front end has to be like, okay, what happens when I click this button? There's on-click commands. There's different types of commands. There's React Redux, and there's a lot of different types of complexities going on in the background that you have to understand. So if you don't know JavaScript, it'll be really hard to get past the actual design and layout of React Native. And so you'll be left with an app that looks pretty but doesn't do anything. It's kind of like something in Figma, right? It won't do anything. So you'll just be able to translate it. Learn JavaScript first for sure. I know a number of crash courses. The best one I recommend is a website called Scrimba. There's a JavaScript course that works really well. Essentially, how it works is there's a video of the code being presented, and let's say you want to understand a piece of code. You click into the video, and boom, you're into a terminal where you can edit JavaScript code. I'll just put it in the chat actually. It's called Scrimba. We have a React course, JavaScript course that I've really learned a lot from. It's a really good place to learn. It's a super cool technology. There's just a video going. I don't understand the code. Double click and start editing the code. Tinker around with it. It works really well. And a lot of the courses are paid, but a lot of them are free. So the React, JavaScript, HTML, CSS one are all free and they work really well. So yeah, but going back, hopefully that answered everybody's question. Oops. Oh, Google Slides is acting up. Okay, so yeah, you probably already know JavaScript, and so that's one of the biggest reasons why you should learn React Native. Now, you see this Gravit Designer. What even is that? Let's go into. I'm gonna have to create a new tab. Okay, so I want everybody to head on. Can you see? Actually, I don't think you can probably see my other tab. Let me just new share. So I'm just going to go on over to grab it. I'm going to search that in Google and boom, designer.io pops up. I'm going to press start now. Now I'm already logged in. It's going to prompt you to log in. So I'll actually sign out. Let's do that. I'll just wait a bit. 1 second. Oops. Okay. So yeah, you'll probably be at this screen. Is everybody here or are you guys just waiting a bit?
For us, I think it shows a thing that says get started and then play video.
Pardon?
For me, it says get started and play video, so it's not the same screen.
Oh, okay. So let me just go back. Okay, yeah. So you just want to press start now. And then it'll take you to the page that I'm at. And so you can either sign up. My best reasoning is to just sign up with Google. It's a lot easier, a lot faster, and you don't have to remember a new password to confirm your account. So I'm just going to put in Dwivedi Yuvraj 13579. That's my account, and I'm just going to create an infinite canvas. Alrighty. And so we're essentially in our workspace now. I don't like light mode. My eyes are hurting already, but nevertheless, let's just get started. I'm going to draw a simple rectangle. It should be about like the same aspect ratio of a phone. So, just compare your phone, should be good enough. And now let's essentially treat this as the background or the screen of the phone. And so if I just, and just a reminder to everybody, I do know that a lot of the questions are being asked directly to me. I know that learning is kind of a group process. So why not put any question you have to everybody so that they can see what you're asking and so they actually know what I'm answering, right? So I think that's quite important to do right now. But let's just say, okay, we have this one rectangle and now we want to make a UI for our app. So I'll just kind of do a linear gradient, and essentially you see this bar right here and you see this bar here. How do I create the rectangle? Good question. I think I jumped a bit too ahead. So there should be a rectangle right here. You want to click on that and drag. Very simple. Once you drag, you want to click on this. You want to go to fills. Fills essentially means the color that it's going to be filled with. And then once you click that, linear gradient, and there you go. Now you drag this, it essentially means, okay, white color starts here, black color starts here. And so if I want to move this, essentially can move it like that. Now, I kind of want to be going for something like a Wealth Simple. Wealth Simple has a really nice palette. I actually don't know. Wealth Simple is a Canadian company, so I'm not sure if I'm talking a lot of gibberish to you guys, but it'll be a very it'll look very royal. So I want a royal design. So I'm going to go with blue. And then, oh, what just happened? I'm going to go to blue. I'm going to drag this down a bit since I think that blue is a bit too bright, and then I'm gonna click on this one. So essentially clicking on each individual circles. So I have one circle here, one circle here. So if I click on this circle, I can edit which color this is. And if I click on this circle, I can edit which circle this is. And so I'm just going to change the color of this to this. And so that stays. I'm going to edit the color of this. I think I should make it a nice purple. Purple would look nice. Oh, wow. Looks like Gravit is doing some weird stuff. Actually, I think gold. You can do whatever color you want, right? I'm just picking which one I think looks best. So we essentially have this. Now, that looks pretty nice. Maybe you want to add a bit of pizzazz. What are we going to do? We're going to go onto our pen tool. This is very similar to Illustrator. Choose after signing up for Gravit. So what option did you choose after signing up for Gravit? So you signed up for Gravit. Are you in the same area as me right now? No. Okay. So once you sign up, where it says sign up for Gravit, you want to sign up with Google. You can sign up with anything to be fair, but I think just the quickest option is to sign in with Google. You want to create a blank canvas. So at the top of the website, it says create a blank canvas, or create an unlimited canvas, something like that. And you just want to create that, and it'll give you infinite canvas is the word. So if I'll just open it up again. If I just start now. Yeah, for sure. I'm just sharing. Can you see my screen? So there's new from template, open from Gravity Cloud. We don't want to go to any of this. 1 second, I can't see the X button. We don't want to do any of this. Go to new design and create. So leave it empty for infinite canvas, press create. Have you gotten it? Okay, perfect. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to my other tab. But now Viva, you just wanna again no worries. You just want to drag a rectangle, go here, linear gradient, and choose whatever colors you want. I can help if you're still a bit confused. But we're going to click on this pen tool. Hopefully, actually, let me just check on where everybody is. Are you guys at the stage or do you guys still need a bit of help? Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're just going to drag this pen tool to the bottom. This looks like the bottom to everybody. I'm just going to drag this and we're going to have it up. Now we're going to click and drag. So I'll just do that one more time. So we clicked here. Now we're going to click here, click and drag up. We're going to drag our mouse up. Okay. So this is essentially the shape it's created with me. And so now I'm going to click back here where the circle is. I essentially have a square following my cursor. I'm going to press the circle and then there you go. I'm going to press shift now so that it makes sure that my line is straight. Now you see, I can't actually, no matter how much I move it, my line will always still be straight. But if I don't press shift, I'm hitting shift, not right now, but if I don't hit shift, it'll be like this. If I hit shift, yeah, okay, yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're just going to go back to actually all. So you have your cursor selected. Now you're going to go to pen tool. To press pen, you click on the bottom and then going to click this and drag. Alrighty, got this. Then we're going to click the circle. Boom. Now we can go straight down. We're going to press shift so that our line stays straight. And there you go. There you go. Now we have an arc. Now I see somebody is asking me how to create the coloring, and we'll just go over that again. So let's just say normally it's at color fill. So usually it's actually gray. So I'll just do that. So yours probably looks something like this. So we're just going to go to linear gradient. We're going to select, actually, I'll do that again. We're going to select the circle under fills. Then color fill is going to come up. We're going to press linear gradient. We're going to drag this to the top just because gradients look nicer like that, especially when it's a rectangle. I'm going to drag this one down. We're going to select this one first. Let's just say this is blue. Let's make this a bit lighter of a blue. And there you go. So that's how we should do the coloring. Has that worked for you? Are you good now? Now, this one has a bit of a board. How do you arc it? Okay, I'll go over the arc again. Okay, 1 second. So you just want to click on this pen tool, right? And then you just want to go to the bottom of this. Click this straight up, straight down. You want to press shift when we're going straight down, and then to the side like that. And now we want to press go. And we're going to press a linear gradient. And so I see somebody can't find linear gradient. So we're going to click fills, and then here, we're going to click here, and it should tell us what we want to choose from. Can you still not see linear gradient? Perfect, alrighty, no worries. So we're going to click on this, and we want to edit the gradient. So we're going to do the same thing that we did with the rectangle, except make it look very royal. So we're going to just go down like that. Now we're going to pick, let's just say a color similar to gold. Okay, anything that's changes aren't reflecting. Okay, that looks a bit nice. It's a bit muddy, but we'll live with it. We're going to make this a bit darker, and then we're going to zero border, and there you go. It looks a bit muddy, so what we'll actually do is we'll click on this, and we'll choose a bit lighter of a color. Make maybe this a bit darker because yellow and white never mix. Well, there you go. That looks like actual gold, doesn't it? Right? So I think that looks nice. I don't think the purple gradient is playing very well with it, so let's just give it a color fill instead and make this a bit darker. I think that looks a lot better. It looks a lot more royal to me. So hopefully most people are at this step. Now we're just going to duplicate this. We're going to Control C, Control V. Now we're going to drag this right here, increase its width, decrease its, do this, and then below here. So essentially you can kind of slightly see it, right? So we're just going to press this, and we're actually going to apply a drop shadow. So now you kind of see how there's two tiers, right? So I have this triangle, and you can kind of see how this triangle is above that triangle. So it looks a lot nicer, right? Well, then basically it looks kind of like that. And now let's say we want to design the basic structure of the website. Now, what do we want to call the website? Let's call it Citro. Okay, I'm sorry, not the website, the app. Let's just call it Citro for the sake of this hackathon. So you can't really see the text, so I'll just press color, make it white. So app. Welcome to Citro app. Alrighty. Now, nobody ever likes thin text at the top of an app. We're going to go to font, going to search DM and sans. I'm going to do that, then bold it. And then we're going to go here. We're going to click this link button so that when we increase its height, when we increase its dimensions, each dimension increases collectively rather than just increasing a single dimension. So we're just going to increase that. And there you go. Actually, I don't think bold is, yep. So we have bold here and the placement of this. You're struggling with the pen. So could you be a bit more specific? I'm down to help, but what are you specifically struggling with? So what's the issue itself? Can you not get the curve? It's appearing straight. Okay. So essentially we're going to click on this. We're going to click here. We're going to let go of the click. We're just going to click once. And then here, we're going to click again. We're going to hold the click. Okay. So we're going to hold it. I'm still holding it. And now whichever way you drag, it follows you. You see? Was that the issue? You weren't holding? You figured it out, or just type in the chat so I can know. Still can't get it. So, that when you click on this triangle here, are you clicking the pen? Okay, so you want to press the pen. You want to click once. You're going to let go. Now you're going to start moving it. You're not clicking, you're just moving your mouse. Then you're going to click once. Now hold the click. And you're going to scroll up and up and up until you get your desired effect. I can move it like this. We call this a Bezier curve. Has it worked? Okay, perfect. Let's go. Okay, so hopefully you've gotten the hang of that. Actually, before I let you go, let's just do that once. Then we're going to click on circle, straight down. We're going to press shift so that the line is straight. You see, when I don't press shift, it's like this. When I press shift, it's like this. I'm going to go straight down, and then we're kind of going to eyeball it, but that looks safe enough. Then we're going to go to borders, 0 borders, because we don't like borders. And then we're going to go to linear gradient, the color it goldenish, and choose whatever colors you want. I've already chosen my colors, so let's just go back to this. So we're just going to put the text box here, welcome to Citro app, and then we're going to create a new shape, a rectangle. And we're going to make this gold too. That looks gold enough. Now we want to make it so that the button has a radius, corner radius. So we're just going to increase the corner radius like this. And there you go. You have a pretty circular button already. So we're just going to add more text and we're going to drag and drop. Okay. So we're going to say get started. Now this app doesn't mean anything. This is just a mock-up. It's kind of like Figma, but for everybody. This has a lot more uses than Figma. So that's why I like teaching Gravit, is because it's a really multi-dimensional tool for graphic design, logo design. So a lot of your hackathon, you'll be using Gravit. You can copy a lot of things. I personally have made a lot of things using Gravit. I've copied my school's architecture. I've made designs for furniture. I've designed my PC. I've designed my desk setup, a lot of things. So Gravit is a really instrumental tool. We're just going to create VM Sans. And yeah, there you go. So that's just the basic of our app. We can file, export, and then PNG and save this as app design. So we've saved that. Now, this has gotten a bit boring since I know you guys are here for a hackathon and you guys want to hack. So why not? Let's open up VS Code or any IDE that you use for web development. Okay? Visual Studio Code. I'm going to open this. So I'm going to create a new window. Okay? Just close your own window. If you are at this, that's good. But actually, I'm not sharing my screen. What am I doing? Okay, so I'm at this page right now. Can everybody see it? Okay, perfect. Alrighty, so we're going to file, open folder, and then new folder, and we're going to call this React Workshop. Okay, then we're going to select this folder, and from here, we're going to go to terminal, new terminal. Now, before we get started, what we have to do right now is pretty important, okay? We have to install something. It's known as Expo. So I'm going to change my share. I'm going to go to the screen right now. Okay, so now you're on Google Chrome. You want to install something. It's known as Expo. So it's going to search up Expo. Now we're on expo.io. We want to get started. So now it's going to get started. You want to put this into your terminal. So if I just go to VS Code, I'll just share my entire screen. Okay, so if I just go to VS Code, hopefully you guys can see this. I'm going to select new terminal. And in this, I'm going to copy and paste npm install -- global expo CPI. It'll take a few minutes, but just bear with us. Alrighty. So hopefully, are you guys on this step or no? My screen is cut off. Oh, can you see? 1 second. Okay. I don't know how to share my screen, man. Is there any way to share an entire screen? Okay. Okay. Yeah, let me try doing that. That's a good idea. Okay, let me share my screen again, guys. Sorry about that. It's weird that it doesn't let me share my entire screen. Oh, there you go. Actually, let me just check the chat again, though. How can I increase the font of text in Gravit? So if you just go to Gravit, I'll just close this. So if I just click on this, if I highlight, and then we're going to go to size, whoa, that is getting big, but yeah, we can make it really small. We can make it really big. It depends, but yeah, so that's how you increase the size. It's pretty simple, pretty intuitive. Or you can just click, type like 6,000, boom. You can't see it because it's way too big, but you can type, you can drag any way you want. So now we're just going to go into Visual Studio Code. And here, if you can see the Expo, right? I'm going to npm install global expo CLI, copy that and paste that. I don't want to do that since it's going to download a lot more files onto my computer that I already have installed, but most of you guys don't have that done. So yeah, just go on and install that onto your computer. Hopefully it'll get you started in a few seconds. So just let me know once you're done that step and then we can proceed. So yeah, just let me know once you're done and then we can proceed. Okay, perfect. So you have one person that is done. Now, if you are done, then you're going to expo in it. I unfortunately have to go. Thank you very much. Have a good one. So yeah, good luck with the rest of the hackathon. For whoever has to David. But yeah, okay. So we're going to just do expo start, and then that should just start something. Oh wait, never mind. Actually, expo init. My bad. Not expo start. I just messed up. But that's fine. We just press expo init again, and then we're going to. It has my app already there. We're going to press my app. You guys might have something different. Let me know if you guys do have something different. To tell me.
Yeah, it says that Expo is not recognized.
Expo is not recognized. Let me just look at Expo's documentation. It's been a while since I worked with Expo, but when I actually uninstalled everything so I could understand. Everything for the lesson. Didn't get that error, but I'll check. Installation. So yep, you've done this. So is it saying that Expo is not recognized?
Yeah, it says the term Expo is not recognized as the name of a command let function script file or operator program.
That's odd. Did you copy and pasted the what do you call it? The actual code, right? npm install dash dash global expo CLI.
Yeah, they said it as it.
That's weird. Hmm.
I'm going to try reinstalling it and see if it works.
What are you using? What IDE are you using? Are you using Visual Studio Code?
Yeah, I'm using VS Code.
That's weird. Huh. That is a bit odd. I won't lie. I'll just what is everybody else getting the same error? Could I just see? npm. Okay, so wait, does that mean you don't have npm installed? What IDE are you using? Or sorry, what have you ever used? Like, have you ever done any web development or anything?
Yeah.
Okay, I was actually asking Julia. Is Julia the one talking? Sorry, I can't tell. Okay,
Oh,
so
I thought you were asking me.
my bad. Yeah. Okay, so you've never done any web development. That's probably the issue. Okay, so maybe I need to backtrack a bit. So we're just going to have to download npm. Wow, this is going to take a bit more than I expected, but no worries.
Hey, Yuvraj. So our time is up at 7 p.m. So we're gonna have to wrap this up in a few minutes.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we haven't gotten really to any coding, so unfortunately, sorry about that, guys. Hopefully you learned a bit more about Expo, but actually what I'll send you guys off with are some really good pieces of advice and tutorial that I think you guys might like. So essentially, right, you guys have learned about what React Native is, but what you personally want to understand is that, you know, why React Native is useful is because it's a cross-platform way of developing apps without actually knowing any Swift, Flutter, or Java or Kotlin. And so if you do want to pursue React Native, your first thing that you want to do is, if you have npm installed, install that. Once you do that, download Expo. And then from there, you want to go onto your phone, download something called Expo Go. What Expo Go allows you to do is allows you to sign on to Expo and then just scan, and then you can do Expo Start. What Expo Start does is it starts your entire project. And it opens up a web page where you can see everything that's happening in real time. You scan the barcode and it opens up the Expo app on your phone, and you have to scan it using your camera, obviously. But once you scan that, it opens up the app, and you can literally test the app in real time. You press Control S, and you can see every single change made in the app. I'll actually just show you guys right now, so it'll take about like 1 minute. But I'm just going to press Enter, and now I'm going to press blank. Oh, it's weird. And it'll just take 1 second. If I can take like 2 minutes, that would be perfect. But yeah, I just want to show everybody how this works. Actually, app.js. Okay. Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable. So yeah, it's going to create a barcode. You scan that barcode, and hopefully after that, it should open up an app on your phone, and then from there, you can actually see the app in real time. And so the what do you call it? The actual background that you made, hopefully you can download that background. And then there's actually a source code written on React Native. When I said React Native has amazing documentation, it seriously does. But anyways, so we're just going to do Expo Start. Expo Start is going to open up the entire web page. Oh, come on. Oh, wait, yep. That's the issue. Expo Start. I need to do Expo Start. This is going to open up an entire web page. And you see how it took me to another web page. I'm going to take my phone. Okay, local, bruh. Oh, 1 second, guys. Should just delete this PowerShell. Wrong command. Okay, yeah, so I guess things don't want to go our way. Sorry for spending a bit too much time, guys. I know that this didn't want to go the way we wanted. I maybe might have went a bit too much in depth on the actual other design and information parts of the lecture. So sorry about that, guys. But I guess we're out of time right now. I did expect to have a bit more than 50 minutes, but you know, that's how hackathons work, right? We're all on a time crunch. So yeah, hopefully you guys learned a bit more about React Native and the design and the process of designing apps. So yeah, thank you guys for attending. And sorry about a bit of a blunder of a lecture that you guys had.
Yeah, no worries. That was a really good workshop. And thank you for telling us about React. So our next workshop is going to be on Next.js. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this meeting so the recording can process, and I'm going to start it again. So just hop back in for those who are interested in the next workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Good